Today we're taking a look at Lesson 1, Conversation 2. If you noticed, I had a book sitting there, and this book is called The Last Wish by Andrzej Sapkowski. Maybe you've heard of the series called The Witcher. I strongly recommend this book series. And they made a Netflix TV show from the books, and it's really good. If you're interested in trying the books, though, the first book is called The Last Wish. Now, it's tricky because there's a main series of these books, and the first book is book number 1. But you don't want to start on book number 1. There are 2 collections of short stories, and the first one is called The Last Wish. The second book is called Sword of Destiny. And you should read the short stories before you read the novels, if you get before you get into the main series. So, if you're looking for some fantasy reading, try The Last Wish. They have the Chinese version at Esleet too. Or if you want to check it out on Netflix, it's called The Witcher. It's really good. So, today we're getting into Lesson 1, Conversation 2. A really negative personality. This person's crazy and cannot handle a good situation, right? So this character goes to a party and their coworker says, "Hey, will you be all right on your own?" And the first reaction is, no, scary. So we have a scary situation. You don't know anyone. How are you going to handle that? Hopefully you don't go crazy. Hopefully you can try to relax, loosen up a bit, and have some fun. And one strategy of trying to loosen up and feel comfortable is a lot of people will just go straight to the bar and talk to the bartender and get a drink. If you get a drink, maybe you'll loosen up a bit. You'll chill out and feel a little more relaxed, right? So that's a strategy. Just don't have too much. You don't want to be too relaxed and then you're too crazy. So later on in the stream, I'll talk a little bit about bar culture. So first we'll go over our questions and the answers, and we'll talk about some of the grammar points and some of the tricky bits in changing these from Chinese to English. So it's a little bit tricky, but as I've said before, there are many different ways to translate these sentences from Chinese into English. You can use the grammar we learned, or if you didn't, sometimes the meaning is the same, right? So you don't need to follow the rules perfectly because communication is the most important thing, right? And so everyone's answers are a little bit different, and usually that's okay. But we're going to address some of the issues that might stick out, that might make it a little bit confusing. Because yes, there are many ways to say something, but we also want to be clear, and you want people to understand what you really mean, right? Okay, so our first part was 姐姐的钱包里没有什么钱. So, oh my gosh, 姐姐, what are you doing? You need a job. You need to get some money. Okay. So, last week we talked about brothers and sisters, right? And in Chinese we see 姐姐, but in English, how can we translate this? Now, you don't need to say elder sister. We all learned that last week. But you should have the word my. You don't just say sister. So there were a few people who just used sister. But we should use my sister because it's my sister. It's not your sister, it's mine. So I would translate this sentence as, my sister doesn't have any money in her wallet. My sister doesn't have any money in her wallet. So we have our subject, my sister, and the verb is doesn't have. We're using the present tense does because right now she doesn't have any money. So we learned any in this lesson. Any means you look around and poof, there's nothing. So if our sentence is negative, she doesn't have, we use any, okay? So usually some goes with a positive sentence any goes with a negative. So my sister doesn't have any money in her wallet. Now, some of you use the word purse. Okay, purse or wallet. Are these any different? Well, usually a purse is a bag that a woman carries with her. And maybe it has a strap and they keep it on their shoulder. And so a purse is a small bag. Inside of the purse, someone might keep a wallet. And a wallet is this. A wallet is the little thing where you keep your money inside. So men often will just carry a wallet, but women will often have a purse, and inside the purse, they'll have their wallet, okay? So purse and wallet are kind of the same in the overall meaning, but if you're being specific about her wallet, you need to use that word, not in her purse, okay? So I said, my sister doesn't have any money in her wallet, right? There also were some people who say, there isn't any money in my sister's wallet. That's fine too, right? There isn't any money in my sister's wallet. That's fine. You're making the focus there is instead of sister. It's okay. You can choose the subject. My sister is the subject, or there is the subject. There isn't any money in my sister's wallet. Okay, you could also say, there is not any money in my sister's wallet, or there's not any money in my sister's wallet. All of these are okay. So there are many different answers of basically what is the focus? Is my sister the main idea, or is it just the situation? There isn't. Okay? And then I also saw some people, a common thing that people will say is, my sister's wallet doesn't have any money. Now, this is something everyone needs to be careful about. When we use the verb have, it's talking about a person has a possession or something has a characteristic. But your wallet cannot have money. Your wallet doesn't own money. So be careful with that. You cannot say, my sister's wallet doesn't have any money. That is using Chinese grammar. Because in Chinese, you can use the word yo for many, many, many situations. But in English, the word have is used for a few less situations. So you don't want to say, my sister's wallet doesn't have any money. You should say, my sister doesn't have any money in her wallet. Okay? So it's a little bit of a different thing. It is my sister, not my sister's wallet. We'll talk about more of this with have in future lessons. We're going to go over the different situations you can use the word have, okay? And then some people wrote, my sister doesn't have some money in her wallet. This doesn't really work. When we use the negative, she doesn't have, you should use any. If it were a positive sentence, you could use some. My sister has some money in her wallet, okay? Meaning a little bit, okay? But if it's negative, meaning nothing, she doesn't have any. You look around and look in her wallet, she doesn't have any. Poof. You could also say she has no money in her wallet. So any here just kind of means no, okay? Now, our second sentence was 有人打给你了，我不知道是谁. So you're talking to someone else. Oh, ring! Someone called your phone. So I would say, my English version is, someone called you. I don't know who it was. So someone called you. I don't know who it was. I don't know who it is, but it's a person out there. So we use the word someone, okay? Someone called you. I don't know who it was. The call is over. The phone rang, bring, 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 and now it's finished. So we can say, I don't know who it was. Past tense was. Because they're not still calling, it finished, right? So we use past tense. Okay. So there are a few people who said, someone calls you or someone is calling you. So if we say someone called you, that means it's in the past tense. It happened and it's finished, right? Someone called you. Your phone went bring, 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 but now it stopped. If you say someone is calling you, that means the phone is still ringing. So someone is calling you. Your phone is still going bring, bring, bring. And so maybe you need to pick it up right now. But if we're talking about before, you would use called with an ed, okay? Now, some people also wrote someone calls you. Here, we don't want to use present simple tense. Present simple, calls, doesn't work here in most situations. Maybe, depending on your sentence, it could work, but someone calls you. Calls would mean it's a habit, something that happens again and again. So someone calls you over and over. You could say that. But in this sentence, in this situation, it should be in the past tense. Or if they're still calling right now, you could say someone is calling you. Okay? There are also some people who said, there is someone called you, or there was someone calling you. So there is someone called you. This one doesn't really work. There is someone called you. You have two verbs that don't match. Theirs is there is, that would be present tense. Called, past tense. So that doesn't work. They have to match, okay? So someone else said, there was someone calling you. This is okay. This is a different form of the verb, the past continuous. There was someone calling you. They were calling you again and again back then. So that would work okay. It's just a slightly different meaning. It meant that it continued to happen. If we use ed, it means it happened once and it finished. Okay? And then we move on to, I don't know who it was. Some people said, I don't know who it is. If we say is, that means they are still calling. Someone is calling you. I don't know who it is. But if we say someone called you, past tense, we have to say I don't know who it was because it was before and it's finished, right? Okay. And then, so someone called you and then someone said, I don't know who did. That's okay. I don't know who did, meaning I don't know who did call you. That's okay too. It's in the past tense, so that works. So as we said before, there are many different ways to change the verbs and these sentences based on the situation. Sometimes if you see the sentence in Chinese, you're not exactly sure when the call happened, right? Because Chinese doesn't have tenses like English. English, tenses are hard. The grammar is difficult, but that's because the words tell you when it happened. In Chinese, the words don't always tell you exactly when it happened. But in English, by seeing the tense, you can figure out, oh, I know, did they call me one time? Did they call me many times? Are they calling me right now? So anytime you think grammar is difficult, remember, it's going to help you make it clear to someone when something was happening, okay? So it's pretty useful. Okay, let me check the comments and see if anyone has questions about this before we go on. 没什么钱 sounds like she does have a little bit of money. 完全没钱 is like there isn't any money. Okay. 没什么钱. Okay. Maybe this is a problem with my Chinese, but from seeing the sentence 没什么钱, to me it sounds like she doesn't have any money. Maybe I'm misunderstanding, but if we want to say that she only has a little bit of money, that's how we would say it. My sister only has a little bit of money in her wallet. Or you could say she barely has any money in her wallet. So if you want to say that she has a tiny bit of money, you could say she barely has any money or she only has a tiny bit of money, something like that. But if we want to use the phrase any to mean that there's absolutely nothing, completely nothing, you can say she doesn't have any money in her wallet. Okay? Hopefully that clears that up. Next up. 今天星期六，你想去哪里吗? So, it's the weekend and you're talking to your friend, hey, what are we going to do? So to announce what day it is, you could say, today is Saturday. And then, do you want to go somewhere? Now, is that the only way to say it? No, of course not. You could say, today is Saturday. Do you want to go anywhere? Do you want to go anywhere? Both somewhere and anywhere are okay in this sentence. Now, do you remember when we use some and any in a question? Okay, if you think the answer might be yes, you can ask with somewhere. Do you want to go somewhere? And you think they're going to say, yeah, let's go to the park. If you're not sure, maybe it's a yes or a no, you can use anywhere. Do you want to go anywhere? Maybe they say, nah, let's stay home and watch a movie. Or they say, yeah, let's go to a movie theater. So this question, you could say, do you want to go somewhere? Or do you want to go anywhere? Both are okay. Depending on, do you think they'll say yes? Or do you think they'll say no? So really, both are fine, okay? So let's take a look at what some of you answered. I said, today is Saturday. Another easy way to say this is, it's Saturday, or it is Saturday. That's fine too. You're just reminding the person what day it is. Hey, it's Saturday. Let's go somewhere. So in my translation, I said, do you want to go somewhere? But there are many ways to say this, right? Would you like to go somewhere? That's great. Or would you like to go anywhere? That's fine too. That's a polite way to ask, right? Instead of do you, you could say would you, just more polite. Someone also said, where do you want to go? Now, this is okay, but the meaning is a little bit different. If you say, where do you want to go? It sounds like you already know the person wants to go somewhere, right? Where do you want to go? And then they say, I want to go to blah. But if we ask the question that I ask, do you want to go somewhere? The answer would be either yes or no, right? And so the meaning is a little bit different if you say, where do you want to go? Okay? We also saw some answers that started with the word are. So a few people said, are you want to go somewhere? Or are you going to go somewhere? Now this is a little bit different. If the verb is want, we should start the question with do. Okay? If we are asking a question with are you going to the store? And then the answer would be, yes, I am, right? So if they ask, are you going to go somewhere? This is different than do you want to go somewhere? Are you going to go somewhere is like, do you already have a plan to go somewhere? But I'm asking what you want to do, so I'd say, do you want to go somewhere? Okay? And then one person said, are you want to go? Are you want to go somewhere? And be careful when we take the verb want and turn it into a question, or most verbs, and we turn it into a question, we start with do, okay? Do you want to go? Do you like to play that game? Do you like to sing songs, okay? Most verbs, we should start the question with do, okay? Next up. 你今天什么都没吃，你应该吃点东西吧? This is pretty common. There are a lot of people who work, but just don't eat anything. So, what could you say to that person? You could say, you didn't eat anything today. You should eat something, right? So you didn't eat anything today. You should eat something. Make sure this is two sentences, right? In English, we have each idea in a different sentence. And so we'll talk about this again later. So a lot of you put sentences together, but in English, we should have them as two different sentences, okay? So you didn't eat anything today. So if we have a negative sentence, we use anything, right? You didn't eat anything. Another way to say this is you ate nothing. That's okay too. So you didn't eat anything. Now the verb you didn't eat anything is in the past tense. You did not eat anything. You could also say you haven't eaten anything today. Now this is the present perfect tense. Some of you use this. You haven't eaten anything today. This is also correct. So past tense, you didn't eat, and you haven't eaten Both are okay. And the meaning is almost the same. Didn't eat means it's in the past and it's finished. You haven't eaten anything means it happened in the past, it's finished, but it's important now. Because, why is it important now? Because I'm telling you, you should eat something. So both of these verb forms are okay. Okay, our second sentence, I said, you should eat something. So you should eat something. It's a good idea to eat something. I don't care what it is. Choose that, choose something. A thing. Okay? And next up, some people said, you should have something to eat. That's okay too. So I said, you should eat something. You said, you should have something to eat. That's okay. We can say eat something or have something to eat. Someone also said, get something to eat. That's great too. The meaning is slightly different. It's meaning you should go somewhere and get something to eat. Okay? And then someone else said, you should probably eat something. That's great too. It's a little bit of a weaker suggestion. You're being nice, saying, oh, you should probably get something to eat. But if you're trying to be forceful, don't use probably. Say, you should get something to eat. Or if you want to say it really strong, you could say, you need to eat something. Okay? So we'll learn more about making stronger suggestions a little bit later in a few lessons from now. Okay? So let's move on to conversation 2, part 3. Right? Okay, the first sentence is 虽然外面不冷，我还是穿了外套。So did you do this today? Today it was pretty hot. Did you wear a jacket? Did you wear some outerwear? I don't know. I didn't. I just walked around in this t-shirt and I still felt a little bit hot. So if you were wearing too much, I hope you weren't sweating too much. Okay, so the English version of this sentence, I would say, is, although it isn't cold outside, I wore a jacket anyway. So this sentence we can translate many different ways. Many different ways. So I started with although. Now, although is more of a little bit of a formal way to say it. Maybe you'd see it written this way. When speaking, people can use although, but then people also will just use though. Although and though are the same meaning. Some people also said even though it isn't cold outside. Even though is the same, but it's making it stronger that this part doesn't matter. Okay? And then also, some people said it isn't cold outside, but I wore a jacket anyway. That's fine too. So using the words although, though, even though, and but are all kind of the same, and you can take them in and out, right? Even though, and although will mark the part of the sentence that is less important. And then the other part is the most important part. So if you put but, the but will mark the part of the sentence that is more important, okay? So although it isn't cold outside, I wore a jacket anyway. And then we put the word anyway to make it stronger, to show that the first part, it isn't cold outside, is not important to us. I wore a jacket anyway. Who cares about it being not cold? Okay? Now, I said jacket in mine, but this is another situation where Chinese and English don't really match up. In Chinese, there's the word 外套, right? 外套 in English can mean many different things. So, I use the word jacket. A jacket, before I get into what each thing is, all of this is called outerwear. If you go to a store and you're going shopping, you might find a section of the store called outerwear, which will have all of these different things. When speaking, people don't really use the word outerwear, but if you go to a store, you might see, oh, outerwear is over there. And in the outerwear section, what can you find? You can find a jacket. A jacket is outerwear that is usually short. It goes to your waist. Okay? You can also find a coat. A coat is outerwear that's usually a little bit longer. Okay? And another piece of outerwear might be a sweater. It's like you pull over your head and it's made of wool, like sheep's wool. So that's a sweater. You also might have a hoodie. In Taiwan, using the word 外套, some people mean a hoodie. A hoodie is like a sweater, kind of like a sweatshirt, but there's a hood that lays on the back and you can put it over your head. In English, we don't call that hat, we call it a hood. So the whole piece is called a hoodie, okay? So in this sentence, you could use jacket, coat, sweater, hoodie, up to you, okay? Now, we use the word wore. I wore a jacket anyway. Other people used put on. Put on is fine, but that's focused on the action. Wore means you put it on and you kept it on. Put on is the action of putting it on your body, okay? Someone else used the word brought. I brought a jacket. Now, this sentence would be okay, but the meaning is a little bit different. Wore means it's on you now, or it was on you when you went outside. But to bring a hoodie or bring a jacket means you carried it with you. Maybe you weren't wearing it outside, okay? So, I said I wore a jacket anyway. You could also say I still wore a jacket. Both are okay. And anyway and still are very similar in meaning. We'll talk more about that in a later lesson, okay? The next example, the next question was 他人还算不错，虽然有时候嘴巴有点坏。I translate it this way. He's a pretty good guy, though sometimes he says mean things. So maybe your answer was very different than that, but that's okay. He's a pretty good guy, though sometimes he says mean things. First up, I put though on the second half. He's a pretty good guy, though sometimes he says mean things. Remember, we use though to mark the part of the sentence that's a little bit less important. So for me, in this sentence, he's a pretty good guy is more important. And then the he says mean things is a little bit extra. This is the side part. He's a pretty good guy, though sometimes he says mean things. So the focus is, the main idea is he's pretty good. And then the says mean things is a small part about him. If you change it around, if you put though on the first part, some people put though on, though he's a nice guy, he says mean things. If you put though on the first part, that says he says mean things is your focus. That's the important thing you're trying to say. So the meaning is slightly different. One is the main clause. One is what's called the subordinate clause, which is like helping the other clause. So though goes on the subordinate clause, which is the helper part of the sentence, okay? The less important part, okay? Now, I said he's a pretty good guy. So if you're talking about someone and saying you like them and they're nice, they're good, they do good things, they're polite, you can say that person's a good guy. Generally, he's good. And some people said he's a nice guy. That works too. The meaning is slightly different. Good means in general, he's a good person. If you say he's a nice person, that means his personality, he's friendly. So being good and being nice are very similar, but slightly different. Good means in general he's good. Nice means he's friendly and kind. Okay? So you could say nice guy, nice person, or a good guy. All of these are okay. And then I said he's pretty nice. So pretty nice means, yeah, he's quite nice, and that's good. If you say he's kind of nice, it's a little bit less than pretty nice. So he's kind of nice. So pretty nice is good. Kind of nice means like, yeah, he's kind of nice. You're not totally sure. One thing I saw was some people said not bad. Oh, he's not bad. Now be careful, in English, not bad is different than not bad in Chinese. Not bad in Chinese means it's good. 不错 means good, right? But in English, not bad just means not bad. It's not great. Not bad, it's just okay. So if you say 不错 in Chinese, that means good. But not bad in English just means okay. So if you say he's not bad, that's just saying he's okay. But if you want to say you like him, you'd say he's pretty nice, or he's a pretty good guy, or he's quite a nice guy, okay? Also, one thing I saw someone flip around the sentence. I saw, even though he's a little mean sometimes, he's actually pretty nice. Now this sentence, the grammar is good, the grammar works, but the focus is a little bit different, right? If we start with, he's a pretty good guy, though sometimes he says mean things. We're changing the focus. He's a pretty good guy, though sometimes he says mean things. We're trying to tell someone he's a good guy, but here's the problem. If you start with, even though he's a little mean sometimes, he's actually pretty nice. You're starting by saying, oh, you know these problems, but what's more important is he's really nice. So the meaning, this focus is a little bit different. Both of them work, but the focus is different. As I said before, we can change these sentences many different ways. Just what are you really trying to say? What are you really trying to focus on in your sentence? Okay, so I said, he says mean things. And that's a really general way to say it. He just says mean things. Maybe he says bad things and he's not very nice all the time. There are many people like this. They're really nice, but oops, he said something rude. I also saw some people say, he speaks ill of other people. This sounds a little bit too formal. Speaking ill of something is not really in conversational English. It is correct. He speaks ill of something. That means he says that thing is bad. It's correct, but it's not very common. It's a little too formal. He speaks ill of his teacher. It sounds like you're telling an old story, but maybe you could say he says mean things about his teacher. That's good enough. Sometimes it's better to keep it simple, right? So speaking ill sounds a little bit formal. Also, similarly, some people says he says hurtful things. This sounds a little bit more serious. If he says hurtful things, hurtful is a stronger word and it sounds a little bit more intense. So hurtful is a little bit less common than the word mean. You can use mean and it's really general. Okay. I also saw some people say that he's a chatterbox sometime. Now, the word chatterbox just means that someone talks a lot, okay? So it does not have the meaning of being a mean person or a not nice person. So chatterbox could be a good thing. It just means someone talks a lot. It's a neutral thing. It's not good, it's not bad. Oh, my dad is a chatterbox. That's not a bad thing. He just loves to talk, blah, 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 okay? Now, also, we used sometimes. Sometimes he says mean things, meaning not always, but sometimes, some of the times. I also saw some people use somehow. You don't want to use somehow here. Somehow means for some reason. Somehow he says mean things. That would mean that I don't understand how he says mean things, okay? So we're focused on when he says mean things, not how, okay? And also remember to put an S on sometimes. We don't want to say sometime, it's sometimes, okay? Let's move ahead. The next one was 话说回来，你想去看电影吗? So this is a very common question that you might ask your friend, okay? I said this as anyway. Want to go see a movie? Okay, anyway. Do you want to go see a movie? Maybe we're talking about the news and say, oh, anyway, do you want to go see a movie? So You could say it both ways. Want to go see a movie or do you want to go see a movie? You can take do you want and just drop the do you. Do you want to go see a movie? And then just shorten it to say want to go see a movie, or even faster, want to go see a movie? Okay, can you keep up? Want to go see a movie? So here we put anyway at the beginning of the sentence because it is changing the sentence, changing the subject and going back to what we want to do. Oh, did I skip one? I did skip a sentence, but we'll get back to that a little bit later, okay? Let's finish the movie one, and then we'll go back to the waiting for you one. Okay, so with the movie one, you could say, would you like to go see a movie? That's good. Do you want to go see a movie? Or you want to go see a movie? Or want to go see a movie? All of these are okay. Many different ways of asking the same question. Now, for a movie, we can say, go see a movie. Using the verb see means you go to the movie theater, okay? If you use watch, it sounds more like you are just staying at home to watch a movie. If you use the verb see sounds like you want to go out to the movie theater and see the movie, okay? You could say, see a movie, go see a movie, go to the movies, go to a movie, go to the movie theater. All of these would be okay. Are you focusing on, do you want to see a movie or do you want to go see a movie? And if you say that, you're reminding the person it means go out of the house and go to the movie theater. All of these are okay. Someone also said go for a movie. That's okay too, but I would usually say go to a movie or go see a movie. Go for a movie. It sounds a little bit more formal. Maybe it might be more like British English or something. But yeah, stick with go to see a movie is your safe bet. And then now let's rewind a little bit, okay? So your friend is texting you and saying, oh, I'm sorry, I'm running late. And so you can say, 我可以在这边等你，反正我也不赶时间. No problem, it doesn't matter. So I would say, I can wait for you here. I'm not in a rush anyway. Okay? So I can wait for you here. This is pretty straightforward. I have the ability. It's fine. I can wait for you here. Now, some people said, I can wait here for you. I can wait here for you. That's okay too. But the focus is, I can wait for you here. Means I can wait for you here. The focus is on for you. I can wait for you. But if you want to focus on where you are, you can say, I can wait here for you. So both are okay. It's, are you focused on the waiting for you, or are you focused on waiting here for you? Both are okay. I'm not in a rush anyway. So in a rush means move, move, move. So being in a rush is the same as in a hurry. So I'm not in a hurry. I'm not in a rush. Both of these are okay. I saw both answers. Okay. So I said, I'm not in a rush anyway. Some other people said, there's no rush. That's okay too. There's no rush. So this is focused on the situation. I don't care. There's no rush. If you want to focus on I, you can say, I'm not in a rush. Both are okay. There's no rush, meaning like our situation doesn't have to rush. Or I'm not in a rush, focused on my schedule. Both are okay. The focus is different. Okay? And then, I can wait for you here. I'm not in a rush anyway. So, meaning that like, it's not a big deal. I'm not in a rush. If you put anyway at the beginning, anyway, I'm not in a rush. It sounds kind of like you're changing the subject back around. So in this situation, saying that it's okay, put the anyway at the end. It'll be better. And remember, you need a comma. So I'm not in a rush, comma, anyway. Okay. Now let's move on to our last sentence of this section. 老板说下午要找我谈话，总觉得有不好的预感。Oh no, look out. This is probably something that happens at work pretty often, right? So I translate this to, my boss said he wants to talk to me this afternoon. Somehow I have a bad feeling about this. Ooh, okay. So my boss said he wants to talk to me this afternoon. Somehow I have a bad feeling about this. Good luck, okay? Now, as I said before, in English, if we have two ideas, we need to make sure they're in two sentences most of the time, unless you have a connecting word, right? But a lot of you have two ideas, no connecting word, but used a comma. Oops, you got to use a period, okay? Make them two sentences. And so, the first thing, I said, my boss. I also saw some people write, boss said. Boss said, blah, blah, blah. But we don't use boss like that in English. You should say, my boss, okay? My boss said, blah, blah, blah. So, it already happened. So, my boss said he wants to talk to me this afternoon. And some people said, my boss said he want to talk to me. Be careful. After the word said, you can imagine that there's a word that. So you could say, my boss said that he wants to talk to me this afternoon. And so after the word that, or after the word said, we need a subject and a verb and follow the rules of grammar. So if it's a he, she, it, you need to add s. He wants, okay? So be careful about that. And so I use the present simple tense. He said he wants to talk to me, meaning he wants to talk to me, and it's true. It's still true. So if something is a general truth, something that's a fact, we can use simple tense, wants. Some people said, my boss said he will talk to me this afternoon. That's changing the meaning a little bit, saying that in the future, he will talk to me. So if he wants to talk to me, maybe we need to set up a meeting. But if he will talk to me, that means I have no choice. He's going to come and talk to me in the future, okay? Also, someone said, he is going to talk to me this afternoon. That's the same meaning. I don't have a choice. It's going to happen. He is going to talk to me this afternoon. So I just have to wait for him to come. But I said he wants to talk to me. And so maybe this is the truth. This is the situation, and we need to set up a meeting, okay? So he wants to talk to me. You could also say he wants to talk with me. That's the same thing. Talk to me means he's directing his words to me. He's talking to me. Talking with me means we're having a conversation, okay? And then also some people said he wants to have a conversation with me. This is okay too. That's more of a back and forth, okay? So talk to, talk with, have a conversation with are very similar meanings, okay? Now the second sentence is, somehow I have a bad feeling about this. No. If something's kind of creepy, you can say, I have a bad feeling. So this is a very common phrase. Ugh. If you watch Star Wars, you'll hear this sentence a lot. I've got a bad feeling about this. So you could say, I have a bad feeling, or I have got a bad feeling. There are a few different translations for this, a few different ways people said it. Many people said a sinking feeling. A sinking feeling is a little bit different than a bad feeling. A bad feeling is you're thinking about maybe the future, what might happen. A sinking feeling is usually it happens right now, and that means your feelings are going down. You're becoming sad. So it's different. A bad feeling, maybe you're scared of the future. A sinking feeling means, oh, you feel so sad about something. But here, are you feeling sad about it? Well, not yet. You don't know what the boss will say. So bad feeling is being worried about the future. A sinking feeling means you're sad about something. It's a little bit different. Okay. Also, some people said, I feel something terrible is going to happen. This is a little bit too scary. Terrible is a very strong word. If you say something terrible will happen, oh, that's really scary. But if you have a bad feeling, you don't really know. It just seems a little bit bad. Okay? Some people said it's going bad. If something's going bad, that's a little bit different. That sounds like something is going from good to bad. It's not really a prediction. It's just knowing what's happening. Maybe my apple is going bad. My apple is going from a fresh apple to a bad apple. Okay? Some people said, I have a feeling something bad is going to happen. That could be okay, but it sounds a little bit more negative. A bad feeling is you're unsure, but if you feel something bad is going to happen, you have a stronger feeling about, oh, it's not good. Okay? And some other people said, I don't feel good about this. That's okay too. I don't feel good and I have a bad feeling are pretty similar. Or I also saw I have a bad prediction. This one is not quite right. A prediction is a guess about the future. So a bad prediction would mean you guessed the future, but it was wrong. Here, it's better to say you have a bad feeling. Okay? You're predicting the future, but you're predicting with your feelings. I have a bad feeling about this. Okay. Let's see. Any questions about this section? Doreen asked, is anyways correct? Many teachers think it's not correct. Anyways is totally fine. Anyway, anyways are extremely common ways to say these words. I don't know. I personally would never say it's not correct. Anyway, anyways are the same. There might be some books or grammar lessons that say, oh, the real word is anyway. Anyways is something that's wrong. When people say anyways, it's wrong. But people say it, so it's fine, right? So you got to remember, sometimes teachers who follow the book or the person who wrote the grammar book, they studied grammar and that's their life. They love grammar and they think grammar is super important. But when people speak and when people write, they break rules all the time. And languages, just by their nature, change over time. So, yes, there are some grammar rules we should follow because if you break them, you're not going to make sense. But there are some grammar rules that change over time. And anyway, anyways is one of those. Because who cares? It's the same word. You're not losing any meaning if you add an S, right? It's not confusing anyone if you add or lose that S. It's just the word anyway, anyways. It sounds almost the same, right? Now you might ask me, but if I say he want, why is he want wrong? Well, because he wants is correct because S goes with he, she, it, because it's making it clear that the subject is he, she, or it. Like using that S is pointing to who is talking or who the sentence is about. So there's actual meaning in that S. But in the anyway, anyways S, you're not losing any meaning or gaining any meaning with or without that S. So sometimes if you hear these like really strict rules on the internet or in books saying, you should never say this, don't worry so much about it, right? As long as somebody understands you, it's fine. One thing I've noticed recently is listening to podcasts. I recommended to you to listen to some podcasts. I've been listening to a lot of podcasts, and there are very, very common grammar mistakes that these American speakers make in everyday sentences. All the time when they're speaking, they're talking about anything, and they make grammar mistakes. But I notice it because I'm an English teacher, and it bothers me a little bit because I'm an English teacher, but are they losing any meaning? No. So don't worry too much about it unless you're taking a test, right? So something like anyway, anyways is perfectly fine. I use the word anyways with an S all the time. You should do it too. Both are fine. Okay. Sorry. I went crazy about anyway. Let's move on. Next one. This one was a little bit tricky because of the word 同情. Okay? So the first sentence is 虽然我很同情你但我帮不了你. Oh, too bad. Too bad, right? So, there are many different ways to translate this, but I always go for keep it simple, okay? Sometimes there might be a really difficult word, but actually the simple words are better for that situation. So I would translate this as, although I feel bad for you, I can't help you. Got it? You could also say, I feel bad for you, but I can't help you. So, as we said before, though and but are the same meaning, but you put it in different places. You could start the sentence with, although I feel bad for you, I can't help you. Or you can put but in the middle. I feel bad for you, but I can't help you. Now remember, you can't use both of them. In Chinese, you have 虽然, 但. You have both in the sentence, but in English, you have to choose, okay? Although I feel bad for you, I can't help you. I feel bad for you, but I can't help you, okay? If you use both, it makes it confusing because although and but have the same meaning, if you put them together, you have two words talking about contrast. So it makes it into like a double contrast. You're saying it's different and then it's different again. It becomes confusing. So only use one, okay? Now, I use feel bad for you. This is a very general way to say it. I feel bad for you. You're in a situation that's not good. I feel bad for you. That's a very general way to say it. Now, if you want to use a better word, a harder word, you can use the word sympathy. Many people use the word sympathy. I feel sympathy for you. Sympathy means I understand how you feel and we feel a connection, right? So this is the same meaning, but it's a little bit nicer actually. It's a better word, but it's a harder word. So you can always keep it simple. Oh, I feel bad for you. And it doesn't lose any meaning. Some people also said, I feel for you. Here, feel for you is similar, but it doesn't show the actual feeling. It doesn't show which feeling it is. Just I feel for you means I understand you. But if you want to be clear which feeling you are showing, you want to say I feel bad for you or I feel sympathy for you. Okay? Saying feel for you just means I understand you. Okay? Now, some people use the word pity. I feel pity for you. This one you got to be careful with. The word pity has a negative meaning. That means that I feel pity for you, meaning that I feel like I'm in a good place and you're in a bad place. And you're so terrible, but I'm okay. So you got to be careful. Pity has a negative meaning. Oh, that guy is so pitiful. It means that you think his life is bad. But using sympathy or saying I feel bad for you is showing more of a connection and I understand you. Okay? Some people also said I have compassion for you. This is similar but a little bit different. Compassion means that we feel the same things, but it doesn't show that the other person is in a bad situation. So sympathy is a better word to show that, oh, I understand you're in a bad situation and I feel you. I feel a connection, okay? I also saw, I understand your situation. Kind of like feel you, you're saying you understand, but it's not showing the connection to the negative emotion, okay? So if your friend is really feeling sad or down, sympathize is a great word to use. Sympathy is a noun here. I feel sympathy. Now you could use sympathy as a verb. I sympathize with you. That's okay too. But remember, sympathy is a noun, or sympathize is a verb. I also saw some people say, I am sympathy or I am pity. You cannot say that because you are not that thing. You have it or you feel it, okay? If you use the be verb, I am, that means you are something. You are not sympathy. You feel sympathy or you have sympathy. So be careful. If you use am, you're saying what you are, that you are that thing. I am a human. I am a teacher. I am a person. But you are not sympathy. You have sympathy or you feel it, okay? And like I said before, be careful with pity. Pity sounds too negative. The person might feel even worse if you say, oh, I pity you, or I have pity for you. That might make them feel even worse, okay? I said, I can't help you. Some people said, I can't do anything. That's fine too. You could say, I can't help you, or I can't do anything. But I can't do anything sounds a little bit negative, meaning I can't do anything. So I can't help you is more like you kind of need to help yourself. I can't help you, I'm sorry, but you need to do it yourself. If you say, I can't do anything, means like, it's not really my problem. That's what it kind of sounds like. And then someone else said, my hands are tied. This is another good way to say, I can't help you. I'm sorry, my hands are tied. But that suggests that something is stopping you from doing it. You want to help, but something is causing you to not be able to help. Saying, I can't help you is more general. My hands are tied means some situation is making it so I can't help. Okay? Next up, 这个问题非常困难，但是呢，一定有办法可以解决。So you're dealing with a really tough thing, right? Maybe you're at work, maybe you're at school. And so I would say this problem is really difficult. However, there's definitely a way to solve it. Like I said before, many different ways to put it together. You could use however, you could use but, you could use though. All of these are okay. So I said, this problem is really difficult. So it depends what the situation is. In general, you could say this problem. Some people use the word question. If we're talking about a test or a piece of homework, you could say, oh, this question is really difficult. But in general, we could say, oh, this problem is really difficult. If you're talking about work, you'd probably say this problem, okay? Like this situation, this thing is a problem. And some other people said, this is a big problem. That's okay. Or this problem is very difficult. Or this problem is really hard. Or this problem is really tricky. Okay? All of these are pretty good. The meaning is slightly different. This is a big problem, meaning the problem is a big problem. It's a big, big problem, maybe a terrible situation. That's a little bit different than difficult. Difficult means it's hard to figure out, okay? And then it's hard. That's okay. That would also mean difficult. Or it's tricky. Tricky is it's like a little bit complicated and you need to figure it out, okay? Some people use the word though. I used however. So this problem is really difficult. However, there's definitely a way to solve it. Here, your connection is in the middle, right? So this problem is really difficult. However, blah, blah, blah. So the second part is the different part, the change. And so you could say, but there's definitely a way to solve it. Or you could say, though there's something, though there's definitely a way to solve it. Okay? Some people put though on the first clause. But here, that would make the meaning a little bit different. Here, the word though is meaning but. If you put though on the first one, it's marking one section of the sentence as less important. Though this problem is really difficult, there's definitely a way to solve it. So you could do that. That would mean the problem is really difficult, and that's not important. And then there's definitely a way to solve it. That's the more important thing. But the meaning is slightly different, right? The focus is different. If you use but or however, it's saying they're equally important, okay? So putting though on the first sentence means it's less important. But if you use however or but or use though in the middle, it's saying that both are equally important, okay? I said there's definitely a way to solve it. You could say for sure, or surely, or certainly. All of these are okay. I said there's definitely a way to solve it, meaning there is. Some people say there has got to be a way to solve it. This is okay also, meaning there must be, okay? And some people said we can make it. Now this is not perfect. You shouldn't say, oh, we can make it. Make it usually means like you're trying to get somewhere. Oh, we're running late. Can we make it? And your friend says, yes, we have 10 minutes. We can make it. But for a problem, we want to say we can solve it, okay? Or there's a solution. That's okay too. Or there's a way. And someone else said there's a way to resolve it. That's okay too. If you use the phrase deal with it, that's a little bit different. Deal with it means you handle the situation, you figure it out. But it doesn't necessarily mean that you solve the problem. Deal with means there's a problem, we have to do something about it. But solve the problem means you fix it. You make everything okay, okay? You could also add the word somehow. Somehow we'll find a way to fix the problem, right? So there we will find a way, okay? Let's see. About the feel, we don't need to use past simple, right? Going back. So rewind back to the last thing. Although I feel bad for you, I can't help you. Here we should use the present tense for feel, because this is when you're talking to your friend and it's happening right now. So you'd say, I feel bad for you, or I feel sympathy for you. So it's present tense because it's happening right now. Past tense would mean it's finished. I felt bad for you. That suggests that right now you don't care anymore. So you don't want to say past simple, okay? So keep it in present tense to say, right now I feel sympathy for you, okay? Don't use past because it means, oh, not anymore, okay? Now, let's see. Next up is 我比较喜欢狗，虽然猫也挺可爱的. So I translate this to, I prefer dogs, though cats are really cute too. So I prefer dogs, though cats are really cute too. So here we're using the word though to mean but, right? You could also use the word although, like we said before. I prefer dogs, although cats are really cute too. Okay? The word prefer means you like something better. So I prefer dogs. I like them better. So some people said, I like dogs much more. That's okay. Much more than what? I like dogs much more than cats. Okay? Or you could say, I like dogs more. Okay? I saw a few people say, I more like dogs. This one is not okay. We wouldn't say I more like. You would say I like dogs more. You put the more after the thing you like better. I like dogs more. Or I prefer dogs. Okay? And then I said, though cats are really cute too. Here, you could say really cute, meaning very cute. If you say adorable, that works. Adorable means very, very cute, super cute. Oh my God, that's adorable. It's super cute, okay? And some people said pretty cute. Pretty cute means kind of cute. So it's actually less strong than saying cute. Pretty cute, cute, really cute, adorable, okay? So using pretty cute means kind of cute, okay? Some people put, though cats are really cute, I prefer dogs. So you can flip the sentence around too. But as I said before, it changes the focus. So if you say, I prefer dogs, though cats are really cute too. I'm ending with cats are really cute, so that's what I want you to remember at the end. If you flip it around, though cats are really cute, I prefer dogs. You're making I prefer dogs a little bit stronger, making the person remember it because you finish with that part, okay? Rewinding a little bit to the big problem at work or at school. And the question is, there must be some way to solve it. Is that okay? So I said, there's definitely a way to solve it. Yes, you can say, there must be some way to solve it. We don't know what the way is, but there must be some way. Or there must be a way to solve it. That's okay too. That means you're sure of it. You're very confident. You're 95% sure there must be a way to solve it. Good, that works too. Can I use the clause, it can be solved some way? Okay, in this sentence, I would say, it can be solved somehow. Somehow is a little bit better here because we're talking about a way to solve it. So how will we solve it? We'll solve it somehow. Some way. Yeah, some way should be okay also because you're finding a way to solve it. There must be some way to solve it. It can be solved some way. That's pretty good, but I would use there is personally because we're thinking of in the situation. Out there, there is a way to solve it. So we're focusing on the solution. But if you're focusing on the problem, you could say it. It can be solved somehow, or it can be solved some way. That's okay too. Like I said, different ways to say these sentences change the focus of what you're trying to say, right? Okay, now let's move on to the next section. 我爸爸星期天只会待在家里看球赛. So this is a habit of what your dad does all the time, right? And so because I think of this as a habit, I would say, my dad always stays in and watches sports on Sundays. So you can take the time on Sundays and put it at the end. Or you can put it at the beginning and say, on Sundays, my dad always stays in watching sports. Okay? So you could say stays in and watches sports, or you could say stays in watching sports. Both of these are okay. Okay, so because it's a habit, I would say my dad always stays in and watches sports. Always. Because it's a habit. He always does this. It's suggesting that it's every Sunday. Okay? Some people use the word only, meaning that he doesn't do anything else. That's also okay, but the meaning is slightly different. So if I am focused on it's a habit and he does it again and again, I can say always. If I'm saying he only does that, you could say my dad only stays in and watches sports on Sundays. Focused on what he's only doing and he doesn't go anywhere else. Okay? So are you focused on the habit or he doesn't do anything else? Okay? So stays in. I use stays with an S because it's a habit. And then some people use will stay. So sometimes you could say, my dad will stay in and watch sports on Sundays. Now that's a little bit less clear that it's a habit that's repeated, but it's okay. He will stay in on Sundays and watch sports. Look, I'm mixing the words around, but as you know, you can mix them around, okay? But one thing is, I saw someone say, my dad stay in. Remember, we need that S because my dad is a he. He stays. My dad stays in, okay? And like we learned in our lesson, you could say stays in or stays at home. Both are okay. he stays at home, he stays in. Okay? And as I said before, you could say stays in and watches sports. Or you could say, if you want to put the actions together, so stays in and watches are two separate actions. Or if you want to put it together, you can say he stays in watching sports, meaning the whole action it's one thing. Stays in watching. Okay? He stays in and watches, or he stays in watching. Both are okay. Now I said sports. He watches sports. In English, if we're talking about generally, I would say he watches sports at home. You could say ball games. Watching ball games is okay, but it's more common to say sports in America, at least. If you say a ball game, it sounds like maybe only baseball or basketball. He's watching the ball game, or he's watching a ball game. But in general, I would say sports, and that could cover golf, football, basketball, baseball, anything, okay? If you just use the word games, that is not specific enough. If you say he stays in watching games, I don't know what he's watching. There could be anything that's a game. A game doesn't have to be a sport, so be careful there. Ball games is okay. Sports is more common, okay? And because it's a habit, we're saying on Sundays with an S, okay? Some people wrote Sunday. If you say on Sunday, that just means one Sunday, maybe this Sunday or last Sunday. But if we're talking about habits, you could say Sundays with an S, okay? If you're talking about one Sunday, you could say this Sunday. But it depends on your meaning, okay? So I translated this as a habit that he does all the time, okay? Next up, 我阿嬷做的菜，不管是谁吃了，都会喜欢. So your grandma, she's a great cook. So I translate this to, anyone who tries my grandma's cooking will like it. So kind of following the grammar pattern we learned in the dialogue. Anyone who tries my grandma's cooking will like it. Okay? So anyone, you can choose any person in the world. If you feed them this cooking, they will like it. Okay? Anyone who tries my grandma's cooking will like it. You can use the word cooking to mean the food she makes. So I use cooking. You could also say my grandma's food. That's okay too. I also saw the dishes made by my grandma. That's okay, but it's a little bit long. You could say my grandma's dishes. Okay? A few people wrote, anyone who tries my grandma's cooking will like them. Now, cooking is a non-countable noun. Cooking, it's just one thing, one idea. So we'd say will like it. It's cooking, so you will like it. Them is for many things, but cooking is just one idea. So if you use the word dishes, you could say anyone who tries my grandma's dishes will like them. That's okay because you can count dishes. But for food or cooking, we can't count them, so we use it. Okay? I said grandmas, but of course you could say grandmothers. That's fine too. You could also shorten it to whatever you call your grandma. Do you call her Grammy? Do you call her Nana? Whatever. Do you call her Abuela? There are many different names for grandma. Abuela is the Spanish for grandma. Okay? I also saw everyone likes grandma's cooking. Okay? That's not bad, but that's a little bit too general. Everyone likes grandma's cooking. How do you know? Not everyone has tried it yet. So if you say everyone, that's a little too general. Everyone likes my grandma's cooking. You could say everyone who has tried my grandma's cooking. That's okay, because that would mean you take all of the people who tried it and they all like it. I also saw my grandma's cooking is so nice that blah, 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 blah. My grandma's cooking is so nice that you will love it. That's okay too, but you're changing the sentence around. It makes sense, similar meaning, but we're changing the grammar pattern. But whatever, as long as the meaning is the same, right? Okay. And my grandma is good at cooking. Whatever she cooks, anyone will enjoy the meal. That's okay too. But as we said before, you're changing the meaning. Saying, my grandma is good at cooking, meaning she's a good cook. Whatever she cooks, anyone will enjoy the meal. That's okay. Meaning, my grandma can make anything. So, like all of the things she cooks, anyone will enjoy it. So, the focus is different. You're focusing on your grandma cooking different things rather than focusing on anyone. Do you want to focus on grandma or do you want to focus on anyone who tries it? Okay? So like I said before, change the focus of the sentence. And I saw someone say, my grandma's dishes are pretty good. Remember, like I said before, pretty good just means kind of good. So if you're trying to say that grandma's cooking is amazing, don't say it's just pretty good. Oh, grandma's cooking's pretty good. No, you want to see it's really good, or it's amazing, or it's awesome, or fantastic, okay? Now, let's keep moving. Next up is 看剧会帮我消消气. So I translate this as, watching TV shows helps me take the edge off. So this action, watching TV shows helps me take the edge off. You could also say, helps me chill out, helps me relax, okay? Helps me take the edge off. We have two verbs here, helps and then take. So we have helps with an S, and then take will just be the regular form of the verb take. We should not use taking, because when we have two verbs, helps me take, you can only change the first verb. You don't want to change the second verb. So don't say helps me taking the edge off, helps me take the edge off. If you say watching TV would help me take the edge off, that's adding an if. That's maybe if I watch TV, it would help, but you're not sure about it. But we are sure, and it's a habit, so we want to use helps, okay? Also, I said watching TV shows. Some people said watching TV series. That's okay. Watching TV dramas. That's okay too. Depends how you like to say it. The most general way to say it would be watching TV shows, okay? And I also saw some people use binge watching. Binge watching is a little bit different. Binge watching means you spend hours and hours and hours watching TV. That's a really long watching session, okay? And let's see. I also saw TV stories. This makes sense. I understand what you're saying, but it's not a common phrase. We wouldn't say watch TV stories. You'd say watch TV shows or watch TV series, okay? And we use the word watching because it's the action. You don't want to say watch TV shows helps me. Don't do that. Say watching TV shows with ing because it's the idea of what you're doing. Okay. And then we can say it takes the edge off. It helps me calm down. It helps me relax. It helps me loosen up a bit. All of these are different ways to say the same thing. You're feeling tense and you need to relax, okay? I saw it takes the edge off my anger, okay? This is not wrong, but it's suggesting that you're angry about something. And maybe that's what you mean. You're angry, so you need to watch TV. But if you say, it takes the edge off my anger, you're being specific that you're angry. But this sentence is more general. We don't know why you need to relax, but we're just saying, oh, it helps me relax. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're angry about something, okay? I also saw, let me watch a drama to take the edge off. Let me watch a drama, it would be a different thing. You're asking someone, hey, may I watch a drama? Please let me watch a TV show. So here we don't want to use let because we're talking about a habit. Watching TV shows helps me relax, okay? Now, our last sentence is, 如果我用功一点，我就不会被当了。I translated this one to, if I studied harder, I wouldn't have failed. This is a little bit of a hard sentence for you. We haven't learned all of these grammar points yet. We'll talk about this more in future lessons. But if I studied harder, I wouldn't have failed. So this is something that did not happen. If I studied harder, it's talking about before. And then I wouldn't have failed. I didn't study very, very hard, and then I did fail. So if I changed what I did, I wouldn't have failed. The reality would have changed. I would have changed what happened, okay? So the way I was thinking about it is in past tense. If I studied harder, I wouldn't have failed. Now, if you're talking about the present or the future, you could say, if I study harder, I won't fail. That's saying right now I need to study, and in the future I won't fail. If I study harder, I won't fail. Both of these are okay. It's depending on what are you talking about. You could also say, if I worked harder. That would be okay too. It's just a different meaning of 用功. So 用功 in Chinese can mean many different things. It could mean studied, or it could mean worked. If I worked harder. Okay. And then, we have many different tenses of the verbs. I wouldn't have failed, meaning that it did happen, but I wish I could change it. I won't fail means in the future, it will not happen, okay? Some people said, I wouldn't be failed. That means you received a failing grade. It's kind of the same meaning, right? So I failed or I was failed. Those are slightly different meanings. I failed means I did it. I did a bad job. I was failed means the teacher gave me that bad grade. So if you use the word be in your answer, that's okay, but the meaning is slightly different, meaning you got failed by the teacher, okay? Some people use the word flunked. Flunked and failed are almost the same meaning, but flunked sounds more serious. Maybe you failed everything. You failed this class, you failed that class, you failed this test and all of the tests. If you flunked, it sounds like you failed everything. If you're talking about one test, you could say, I failed, okay? Or one class, you could say, I failed. Hopefully you don't fail anything, okay? And I also saw someone say, I didn't pass the test, or I would have passed the test. That's also okay, but again, like we said before, the focus is different. I failed, you're focusing on the bad thing. I failed. I would have passed the test. You're focusing on the good thing that could have happened, but it didn't, okay? I also saw one which I wouldn't have failed if I was hardworking. So this is flipping the sentence around. You could put if at the end. But then hardworking is a little bit different than this sentence. So if I was hardworking is in general, if I was hardworking. But if we're focusing on one situation, you would say if I worked harder or if I studied harder. If you say hardworking, that's about you in general, your personality maybe, okay? Now, no more questions for now. Okay, later I'll try to write a blog post about going to bars. So this lesson is about going to a bar and ordering drinks. And the bartender is making the person a drink. And the bartender is kind of leading the conversation, right? But when you go to a bar in America, the bartender doesn't start the conversation. You need to start it, right? And you could say, hey, could you make me a drink, or can I have something? And you got to learn how to order, right? You have to figure out what you want to order. If you go to a bar or a party with a bartender, how do you know what to order? Well, what you could do is keep it simple. If you like beer, you could say, oh, could I have a beer? And then they might say, oh yeah, what do you want? And then what you could do is just say, I don't care, surprise me. If you don't really care, just say that. Or if you want a very simple beer, you could say, oh, could I have a lager? A lager is a very simple kind of beer. Or a very popular kind of beer is an IPA. You could ask if they have an IPA. An IPA is a bitter kind of beer, okay? Or if you order a wine, they might ask you, okay, what kind of wine do you like? And basically, you could start by saying, oh, could I have a white wine or could I have a red wine? And they might ask you, what kind of red? And you go, too many questions. You can ask them, oh, do you have a house red or do you have a house white? If you ask for a house wine, that means a very general wine that they think is good enough to keep at the restaurant all the time or at the bar all the time. A house red is the red wine that's usually a decent wine. It's not bad, okay? And then if you want a cocktail, maybe you like a mixed drink, what you should do is, you should learn some cocktails you like. Maybe you like something very simple, like a whiskey and Coke, or maybe a gin and tonic. Or maybe you like something a little bit more fancy, like a Manhattan. You should learn some very basic drinks that every bartender will know how to make. Maybe a whiskey sour or something like that. Or if you don't have an idea, tell them a liquor that you like. Well, I like gin, so can you make me something with gin? Or I like whiskey, can you make me something with whiskey? Or you can tell them the flavor you like. Oh, I like things that are sweet. I like things that are sour. I like things that are a little bit smoky. So there are lots of different choices, but what I would do, try to figure out what kind of bar or restaurant you're in. If you're at a really fancy bar, don't ask for a really cheap beer, okay? If you're at a really fancy bar, if you're at a cheap bar, don't ask for a fancy cocktail, okay? Many, many choices, okay? So I'll try to leave a message a little bit later with some more ideas about how to go to a bar and get what you really like, okay? So there are no more questions for now, so let's wrap up here. And I'll see you guys next week. This one a little bit long, but if anybody's still around and would like to chat with me one-on-one for a few minutes, send me a message and I'll get back to you and I'll give you a call. We could chat for a few minutes, answer some of your questions, okay? So thank you for coming and thank you for being with me for so long. Next time I'll try to keep it shorter, okay? I'll see you next time. Good night. Bye-bye.